Go back to where you came from. Oh, it's the first time I've had a black friend. Did you live in a pyramid when you were back in Egypt? Do they have water in Africa? Why do you look a bit yellow? Okay, so like, where are you really from? So these are just some of the phrases I had to listen to a lot when I was growing up in Ireland. So today I'm going to be discussing how it felt to be a child of immigrants growing up in Ireland. So this is my own personal experience. So I grew up in the 90s, and I'm sure people's experiences everywhere is different. But because I never met anyone like me growing up, I thought I'd share just in case someone feels a bit seen or heard watching this video. Background information about me. My parents are both Egyptian, and they moved to Ireland, I can't remember the exact year, but I'd say late 80s, maybe 1990, because I was around 2 or 3 at the time. And one of my first memories in Ireland was me speaking to people in school, and nobody could understand me because I was speaking in Arabic, and I was just like, blah, 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 and everyone was just like, what the hell? And it was a very weird feeling, like talking and always being understood by everyone around you, and then having people just look at you blankly. It just felt like I'd stepped into a different world. And at the time, like I was 3.5, because I went to school a bit early. I was like, what is going on? Like, I still remember that feeling. I just felt like, what is going on? Why does nobody understand? It was kind of like a toddler stepping into the twilight zone or something. The reason this video came to mind is because at the moment I have a 6-month baby. He's almost 6 months anyway, and he's mixed race. So I'm Egyptian and I grew up in Ireland, and his dad is English, but he grew up all over the world. And then we live in Egypt at the moment, but probably we'll be living in different places in the future. So I think he probably, struggled with some of the things I struggled with. So because he's mixed race, he's going to have more of a cultural identity crisis than I ever had. So it just got me thinking about culture and identity and how I want to raise him and all that stuff. So I got a bit reminiscent about my time growing up in Ireland, and I thought I'd just share it in case anyone else relates or, feels seen or heard or validated. One of the questions I always get asked, always, was, where are you really from? And to be fair, I get it. Like, I don't look Irish. My name isn't Sheila Connors. Like, so when I go around with my big foreign name and my big dark features, like, nobody's going to be like, oh, she's Irish. But when people do ask me, where are you really from? I never actually took that personally, or I never took it as an offensive question, because I kind of understood why people would ask that. I speak with an Irish accent, but I don't look Irish. So they're just like, where are you from? Like, where genetically are your parents from? And I grew up in Ireland in the 90s. And at the time, Ireland was not diverse. Like, up until the early noughties, you'd be very hard pressed to find people who weren't genetically Irish. Like, I remember in like a couple of the classes I was in, I was the only person with brown eyes. Everyone else had like, the Irish blue eyes or grey or hazel or whatever. I was like legitimately the only person with brown eyes. So like, I always knew I looked different. So that question always got asked. Another one was the mispronunciation of my name. And to be fair, my parents didn't really do me any favors by spelling it the way it's spelled. So just to clear this, my name is Samar. It's pronounced closer to summer, like the season, but it doesn't mean summer like the season. It means amazing conversations underneath the light of a full moon. And in Arabic, there is not many vowels, so everything's kind of spelt phonetically. So when my name is spelt, it would be SMR, but it's the Arabic equivalent of those letters. So that's why you'll always find like a lot of Arab names have a lot of different variations on the spelling, because they just insert different vowels. So my parents just stuck A's in between the consonants, so it's spelled Samar. So it was always pronounced Samar. And I actually remember for a couple of years, I actually stopped correcting people. I just couldn't be arsed, basically. I was just like, yeah, call me whatever. I'm just done with telling people how it's pronounced. It's so annoying. And I've met people with my name in Egypt as well, and they would spell it as Sommer. Some parents just spelled it as summer like the season, and they're the lucky ones because it just made life so much easier for them. But yeah, that really annoyed me. And when I was choosing my girls' names, I chose a name that I hope anyway could be easily pronounced in English and Arabic. So Lydia, easy. Emma, easy. Atlas, easy. They're just easily said. People saying my name wrong was so annoying, and I still find it annoying now, but I probably would correct them. Whereas when I was younger, I just stopped correcting people. Another thing that I experienced as a child of immigrants in Ireland was the way schools treated me. So just for some context, we used to move a lot in Ireland. Like I lived in Dublin, Drogheda, I'd say some bit in Dundalk, Waterford, Wexford, Cork, Galway twice, Cavan, just like all over the place basically. So I went to minimum 9 different schools. I actually stopped counting because I was just like, I can't keep up. So I was always the new girl in school, and my parents would meet with teachers, and my parents would talk like this with very thick Arab accent. They just assumed because their English wasn't amazing that my English wasn't amazing. So I always got stuck in the special needs classes when I went in, because they just thought I'd like need extra help with English. And then they'd always do assessments on me to see like what my reading level was. So funnily enough, I actually had a really, really high reading level because we moved so much, and we always moved in the summertime. I had no friends most of my summers. Like I was just on my own. I had my brother, but like, you know, when you're a kid, you just find your siblings super annoying. So I spent all my summers in library reading. So by the time I was probably 10 or 11, my reading level was easily that of a 16-year-old. And yeah, so during the summers, all I did was read and watch TCM. So I know an abundance of information about old Hollywood movies, which come handy in pub quizzes. And I also know a lot about obscure topics like graphology, because like I said, I just spent hours every day in the library. So I was always put in like the special needs classes, and then teachers would always think I was a bit thick or slow because my parents spoke with an accent. And then like I just like do really well, and they're like, oh, you're not stupid after all. You're a bit smart actually. So that was also something I experienced in schools. Another thing that used to happen in school, so every time anything about Islam or Muslims or Egypt or Africa was mentioned in class, everybody would turn and look at me. So I'd just be like here, and then they'd say something like ancient Egypt, and then everybody would just look at me like I was like the representative of Egypt, like I was their ambassador. That was also a bit funny. Another thing I remember about growing up as well was school, when people would open their lunchbox, they'd have, you know, like ham and cheese sandwiches, crisps, whatever standard lunchboxes parents prepare in Ireland. I'd always have like za'atar, like, you know, ethnic food, and everyone would be like, oh, what's that? Because like it looks different. I always got teased for my lunchbox. I remember I was like begging my mom, can you just make me a cheese sandwich? Just get me a Dairy Lee Lunchable. Just get me anything that doesn't look different, because I was like so desperate to fit in, and I didn't have a chance of fitting in. Like I looked different, my parents were different, the food I ate was different, just everything about me was so different. Like I gave up actually trying to fit in my teens, but like as a child, when you are trying to fit in, I was like so desperate to just be like, you know, one of the normal people. But something else which I feel did really impact me was I didn't really identify with my physical appearance. So it's very hard to explain to someone who hasn't actually gone through this. But if you like me, and then you live in Ireland in the 90s where everyone was predominantly super pale, super white, all the kids are like, you know, light hair, light eyes. When you look in the mirror, you kind of like get shocked. You're like, oh, I look so different, because you just as a child, like you just think you look like everyone around you, but then when you look in the mirror, you're like, oh my god, I look so different. And I've always felt like I look so different from everyone around me, and I think that did negatively impact me. When I was a teenager, I did develop an eating disorder, and it was probably stemming from loads of like body image appearance, and like I just always felt disconnected to the image in the mirror, like, oh, this isn't how I'm supposed to look. I'm supposed to look like everyone else. Why do I look like this? And I was like really, like up until I'd say even my early 30s, I was always very self-conscious how I looked. I always thought I looked like, you know, ugly, because I was so different to everyone around me. There was hardly any ethnic people in my schools when I went to, like maybe 1 or 2 in the whole school. Now like Ireland is so different. So like I just went back there for work, and like walking down the streets, you just see people from all different countries, different ethnicities. It just seems more cosmopolitan than it was in the 90s. So the pros, I would say, of growing up straddling between 2 cultures would be, I always manage to fit into new environments. So you could kind of put me anywhere and I just kind of fit in. And I think that's mainly because I moved to so many different schools. So like always being a new girl, I always knew like how to kind of fit in or get along with people or assimilate quickly into new environments. And I think that really helps me in work. So when I work with people, I can get along well with anyone, even like people who are like difficult. I probably get along well with them because I just met so many different people. Because, you know, growing up in like 4 countries, 9 different schools, you just meet so many different people. So I've met tough people and I just know how to get along well with them. And I don't really let people's ways affect me. Because if you grow up and people are like, oh, like, go back to where you came from, where are you from? Oh, go back, blah, blah, blah. Like, I remember when I was in Cavan, actually, a couple of people referred to me as black because they'd never seen a person with like pigmented skin. And it's so funny because like when I went back to Egypt, people would refer to me as light skinned, and I would find that so bizarre because all my life I've been, you know, referred to as, oh, the brown girl or the black girl or whatever. And then suddenly people are calling me like, oh, you're so pale, you're so fair. I'm just like, what's going on? That was a bit weird as well. I'll probably do another video about the reverse culture shock I had when I moved back to Egypt, because that was actually tougher than growing up in Ireland in the 90s as a child of immigrants. Another thing I kind of acquired growing up in Ireland as a child of immigrants is I know what it feels to be lonely and an outsider. So every time I'm in a social gathering, I always tend to drift to the person who's kind of, you know, too shy to make conversation, feels a bit lonely or on the outside, because that's me. Like I still feel like that now. Like I always feel I never fit in. I always feel like I'm the outsider. And I tend to gravitate towards people like that because usually they're more interesting. I always feel like, you know, the social outcasts, they're way more interesting than like, you know, the popular crew. And I just feel what they feel because that's just me all day, every day. So I just gravitate towards them. All the best people I met were people who don't really fit in the mold. So yeah, I think I learned to be highly adaptable. I can get along well with anyone. If I move to any country, I probably can just, you know, figure things out because I'm just so used to moving as well. So that's also a life skill that I gleaned over the years. Let me know if this video is helpful. I do feel like I'm rambling a lot because this isn't usually the type of content. Look at me, the type of content I create. I have like 6 videos. So yeah, none of the content is the type of content I created. Let me know if you enjoyed this and any of this resonated with anyone. So because I am new to YouTube, I will ask you to like and subscribe and share if you think you know someone who this video would resonate with, and see you soon next time. So bye.